Hello makers and welcome back to the studio. Now this week we're going to create another 1 hour masterpiece, which probably won't take us an hour, but I'm going to show you the fundamentals of a series of artworks that I started a couple of years ago that I really like. I call it the Pathways series. And pathways basically are these dark lines that we created, almost like a lot of ways we're creating almost a maze, and then we're including with it some splashes of bright color as part of our paper cutouts. And I'll show you how to do all of that. Now, I'm going to start, as we start a lot of our projects, with a blank sheet of paper. And personally, I love a blank sheet of paper because it represents possibility. So when I look at this, I'm thinking, all right, what do I want to do here? Well, I don't know exactly what it is, to be honest. This is one of the beautiful things about the exploration of art, is we might have a vague idea when we start, and it's not really going to come into its own until we start putting it into motion. What I would like to do is I'm going to grab my paintbrush, right? I have a rounded paint, but I'm going to make basically a square line with this. I'm working with my apple barrel matte black for this project. That's going to be the foundation for most of what it is. And then later on, we'll work with some colored paper, and we're going to have to cut some shapes and glue them down. I'll work with that as well. And all the materials we'll be using for this project will be located in the description below. But to start with, I'm looking at this blank piece of paper, and I'm thinking, all right, what can I do here to really kind of make this happen? And the concept is generally this. Can I come in here and create kind of black lines and then create some gaps within the black, which would be a great place to host a burst of color? And can I create some interesting shapes and really get my paint on this piece of paper in a pattern that is going to be pleasing to the eye? That's really what I'm trying to do here. So no right answers. Let me get this open here. And I have a roll of paper towels not too far away, just because invariably, I'm really good at getting paint on myself. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm a master at that. So I'm going to try to minimize as much as I can. And the last thing I want to do is sometimes you get paint on your fingers and then you end up getting paint on your paper. And you're like, oh, I didn't want to put a blob of my fingerprint there. So I'm going to try to avoid that as much as possible. I'm going to take it slow and steady here. And again, invite you to follow along, or you can certainly watch me first time through if you want to get a sense of what this is all about. But let me get some paint on my paintbrush. And I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to start over here in the upper right-hand corner, left-hand corner, I should say, my other right. And there's no right answer. I'm going to come here and I'm going to create a line, and then I'm going to just take a corner here. It's all right. We're going to go this way now instead. Or you know what? I changed my mind again. Now I'm going to go back this way, and then I'm going to come over here. And one of the things I've done in the past that's really very fun is to see how tight you can get the lines together, in the sense that, you know, we're kind of creating a minimal distance between the white and the black, the white of the paper and the black of the paint. And so I can come in here and say, you know what can I do to kind of tighten this ratio up? You can start to see, hopefully you guys can see that okay. And I may actually go to a smaller brush for some of this. And if I have a smaller square brush, I can kind of clean up those corners. But let me kind of get a rough down here to begin with. And so I'm going to come in here and let's create extend the black line this time a little bit further into here. And do I want to go back up? Well, that's one possibility. That is definitely one possibility. Maybe I'm going to go back up a little bit, maybe about halfway, and then continue my journey over here to the right-hand side. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll kind of come in here and I'm almost like sketching it out. I'm coming in here and I'm seeing what my line will look like and where it's going to go. And then I can come back a little bit later and with a smaller brush and just make sure things are a little bit cleaner. It's going to depend upon all on the look and feel that we want to put in here. And I'm thinking I might do something, I don't know, dramatic. You know, I'm going to try something I don't think I've ever done before, and that's I'm going to make a curve happen from here over to here. I know, wild. Has this man just lost his mind? Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible. Let me go back in here and kind of get that filled in. And again, with a smaller brush, I can hit this up a little bit later and clean up some of my lines and get the look and feel I'm going for. All right, and all right. What is this going to mean for us? Well, I don't know. Let's explore it together. And again, you know, part of my brain's like, is this going to be a horizontal piece? Is this going to end up being a vertical piece? I don't know. I don't know yet. We will invent it as we go along. That curve's going to be kind of an interesting thing. I don't think I've ever put a curve like that in one of these pieces before. Let me just kind of stair step my way into this a little bit. And that's kind of interesting. I'm going to go down here now. And let's just, again, I'm just going to kind of follow where my natural inclination is to kind of create a path. Now, it's definitely a drunkard's path. There's this is not the fastest distance between 2 points for sure. But what I end up doing with this in the future is going to be kind of interesting. All right, let me kind of see what happens with this. I'm going to come up here just a little bit, and let's... Now, by the way, one of the things I have done in the past also is you can have a line that just kind of stops. This line kind of did its thing, and then it terminated right there. And again, I'm going to square this up. I'm going to get a different brush in the next little bit, and I can square it up from there. And you know, I can pick up right here. I can say, all right, let me get my paintbrush down back on the page, and let's do something like this. And we'll have a brand new line that goes off and does its thing. We'll bring it up like that. And we'll create just a small distance between these two right here. And again, get just a sliver of white between them. And let's go over here. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll just come in here and we'll start exploring down in the lower left-hand corner with this line. And let's go and bring this down like this. And again, one of the things I might do is trying to get a sense of where kind of the natural boundaries are on this piece of paper, right? I might say, okay, no, don't go any further than like this bottom line here. And I'm going to go back over here. We go up and over. It's kind of very organic here, very organic. And we'll go up there. And over here like this. And then I'm going to come down. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to end it like this. And so that'll be at the end of the second line. And again, I'm really just kind of almost sketching it out right now. And when I come back in with another paintbrush, it'll clean it up. And again, one of the things you may or not be able to see on camera is there are sections where this paint is still black, and it looks very different. Once it dries, it's all a uniform black matte color, and you get a better sense of what's going on with this. All right, let me come in here. I'm going to create a third line. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to find a way not to mirror that curve, but I'm going to make a curve on this side as well. Let's do this. Oh, and turn my brush over to get the paint that's on the other side to continue this line. Interesting. And now let's see if I can extend it over here like this, and down, and over, and down some more. Maybe this is kind of the terminating end down here of this part of the line. And then up here on the other side of this curve, we'll come back in here like this. We'll go closer to the other section over here for a second. And then we're going to come down here. And I'm going to kind of create some sort of conclusion of this line inside this space over here. So come down over here, up a little bit, and you just end it right there. All right. Now, I think it's interesting. Do I know if we're there yet? No, I do not. I do not. In a lot of ways, I've sketched it. One of the things that's occurring to me while I'm kind of working on this is that it actually may look a lot better this way when we're done, right? So we have these really bold black lines. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to go find myself a good, smaller but square-edged paintbrush. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to clean things up. Now, I could share that with you, but I like you. And watching somebody else meticulously paint lines in is not going to be the most fun you've had. So I'm going to stop recording for a few minutes, go in here, get things shored up so I feel more comfortable with it. Like I said, this is pretty much just a quick sketch. I'm going to get these lines tightened up, and then we'll come back and talk about what we want to do from this point forward.
Several months later.
All right, and through the magic of video editing, we're here. Now, a couple things happened while I was working on this. First of all, as I planned, I squared up a lot of the corners and made it look a little bit more like it was planned and not, the sketch that I had put out here before, which is good. I extended this line a little bit. I said, you know what? It actually kind of needs to fill in the spaces here, and I think it works out a lot better. Also, I played around with the orientation of this. Originally, you might remember, we painted it in. I was thinking we'd create some sort of a horizontal piece, but it's kind of telling me that it wants to go like this. It's almost like there are two characters, maybe two people. That's what the roundness, different heads, two people. Hopefully they're getting along. I don't know if it's a conflict or an embrace, but something that's happening here. And again, sometimes you just have to listen to the paper. You just turn it on different sides. What happens if we put this at the bottom instead? Does that make things better? Again, it's interesting. I think, having played around with all possibilities, I like this orientation the best. Now, the paint is still a little bit wet in places, so I'm going to be very careful. But one of the things I want to be able to do is think a little bit about what the next step is. And by the way, could this be finished the way it is? Absolutely. We could, call this The Lovers. And here they are entangled in what it is. But I want to pop this a little bit more. I want this to be a little bit more interesting, at least to my eyes, visually, than just straight polychromatic black and white approach. So I'm thinking, in some of these areas, I have some areas of maybe, I won't say excessive white, but some fairly blocked out big whiter areas. And I'm thinking what I'd like to do in each one of those is put in a pop of some sort of color, right? Let's put some color here, maybe some color here in different orientations. So I'm going to start thinking a little bit ahead about, well, what do I want this to look like, and what color goes where? So I'm going to reach into my magic bin of leftover colors, and the first color I'm thinking of is I'm going to get some red in here. All right, so a good bright red color, and I'm looking down here in kind of this section right here, and I think just putting a kind of a red block or blob in there would work out just fine. I'm just going to simply grab my piece of paper and kind of eyeball a basic shape that I think will fit in there. And then I'll just really cut it more to size and shape as I get a little bit closer. There we go. So I have this red rectangle. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to need to make that a little bit smaller to fit in. And also, do I want to round the edges is really the magic question. I think I am going to do that in this one. I'm going to round the edges a little bit and create something that will fit right in here. Okay, again, let's dry fit these things in, but I like it. So far, that's working out well for me. Now, again, there's no right answer. Could I drop this piece in here instead? Maybe. Maybe it goes here, maybe it goes up here. I don't know yet. And so what I may do is I may just cut the shapes to sort of fit where I think they need to go. And then over time, I might say, you know what, not there. I actually want you over here. So we'll start with that as a basic color that we can work with. I'm going to grab some, green as a good, again, kind of go with a kind of a polychromatic approach where, by the way, polychromatic colors usually constitute about 70% of the colors in the rainbow, which is a lot of what I like to do, kind of leave little splashes of color here. So do some red and I'll do some green as well. I'm going to put the green right here, at least initially. We'll see what happens here. Again, let me just cut a basic shape and see what happens if I were to drop it in here. Again, I need to thin it up a little bit. And let's just create some rounded corners on this guy as well. There's no right answer, and it doesn't have to fit in any particular way. We just are really more focused on the idea that when this is done and we have a color in place, what is that going to look like? And I kind of like the idea of the color coming down a little bit into this other area here and not necessarily sitting straight there. I think it looks more interesting that way. And we have the power to change these things. I have a blue color here in my bin of colors, and I'll put some blue here. And who's to say not? And how are you going to do if I drop you right there? You're going to do well. You are going to do just fine. All right, so we got our basic colors coming in here. Again, what we do with this and how this is going to work out is entirely up to us. And also, who is the art for? If we're making it for a child's bedroom, something that's abstract yet kind of has some solid complementary colors, we can certainly do that, right? That's an option. There's nothing to say that as adults we can't enjoy pops of color like this as well. So there's no wrong answer here at all. I'm going to get some of this orange yellow. I'm thinking maybe right in there, just a little pop of color. And again, I'm conscientious of the fact that a lot of the color in this piece is going to be toward the bottom of it, and I'm not sure that's going to serve us well in the long run. So I'm starting to look for areas up above that can also take in some colors. Almost like we're decorating a holiday tree of some sort, right? And so I have to thin that down a bit. Yeah, and again, my concept here is I want the color to be within the white and not overlapping with the black at all. But who's to say that wouldn't look really awesome, right? There's so many possibilities in here. I've got a square area here. I've got another one here. I might have some room up there. Maybe something right here. Let's again. Nothing is set in stone here at all. I'm going to come into. I have some peach left over from a previous project. I'm going to put that right in this area here, I think. So let me just cut a shape that will sort of kind of fit there. And I think, yeah, round that down. It might just be perfect. Pow. Yeah. Coming together. And again, the thing I love about doing this is that you let the colors, you let the shapes, you let the paper talk to you. And you may do that and go, yeah, no, that's not working. And every so often you look at something and say, no, that right there, that works beautifully right there. With, if I took this red and put it up here, would it work better? Maybe this red doesn't belong down here at the bottom. I haven't yet committed to that. I'm going to get a shape in here as well. Let me get this purple. Again, this is shaping up to be kind of a lot of fun, solid colors. And how are you doing? I need to thin that down just a little bit. All right. How about that? And those two colors look really good in relationship to one another. Yeah, not not feeling unhappy. It's starting to come together. And again, the colors are really leading this, I think, to another place where, black and white, it's going to do fine, but I think the colors are really going to enhance this in a way that we're going to really like. Again, I don't want to overwork this because, I could find every nook and cranny in here and say, let's put some color in there. I'm thinking I'm going to get a color up in here. And that may be the last color. Let me see what I have here that's left over in the color bin. I have this other blue color. It's a little bit lighter than that one. I'm going to give it a try. It may not work. It may just be that we don't need that similar shade of blue in here twice. But you don't know until you try. Okay, and plop that right there. Actually, flip it like that. Still think it needs to be trimmed down just a skosh here. All right. And by the way, sometimes in situations like this, quite literally, I will take an unfinished piece and I'll stick it up on a wall. I may just tack these down so I can kind of see them, and I'll let it talk to me over time. And so in my studio, I'll have pieces on the wall, and I'll as I kind of spend time with them day after day, I'll look at it and my brain will start to say, you know what, that would look really interesting if you changed that color or made that shape different. And so it's really hard sometimes to sit down and let's make all the decisions right now. Sometimes you really need to think about what would happen if I kind of let this sit on a back burner for a while and I came back to it in a week or 2 weeks and said, let me approach this with fresh eyes on a completely different day. Maybe, the weather's different. Maybe it's sunnier as opposed to raining, and you might just have a completely different perspective on what's going on in here. So that's kind of where we are. But, I'll be honest with you. I'm not hating this at all. I think this is a really, really fun piece. It's still drying in places, so I want to be very careful I don't get my fingers in there. But I am happy with how this has turned out. Now, these are all in place. I will be gluing these down. I'm going to be using just my handy dandy Amazon Basics glue stick for this. That's right. I'm going to be hitting these up and putting these down. I'm going to wait for everything to dry before I do that, and because I don't want to accidentally get some paint on my hand and do one of these swiping motions. Anyone ever done that? No, I'm the only one. Anyway, I think we're at a good place with this. And you know what? I like this one. I haven't figured out yet what to call it. That will happen. And I will get that up on our studio. And you guys can take a peek at it from there once it gets done as well and see what your thoughts are as we go through this. But that's what we have. So anyway, I hope you're able to follow along at home and create something that you're happy with as well. Again, it's a relatively simple technique. A good square paintbrush to clean things up. But like I said, I just used a brush to kind of sketch out the lines, get a general sense of the framework, and then touched up the paint colors. And then I've just really added, not the paint colors, I should say the paint lines, and then added individual bits of color in here to see what's going to work. So I'm not unhappy. This is kind of a fun project, and it's really come out, I think, very interestingly. So happy to have that. So look for this in the studio. And by the way, this one will have a super special discount code that you'll find in the description below. If this is the kind of piece you might want to have hanging in your own home, you can pick this up for a very good discount. I'll make it definitely worth your while. So check out what's happening at Spectiva Studios, and you can see where the pricing is and everything you need to know for this project and future projects and past projects. If there are any other 1 hour masterpieces that we've created together that you're interested in, you'll find those in the collection as well, providing somebody hasn't already purchased them. Anyhow, thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope you were able to create something that's really fun at your end. And please send pictures. I love to see what you folks have done. And we'll have a showcase one of these days with you guys sharing your artwork back in. And we'll get you up there. We'll get your name in lights a little bit. It'll be really fun. Anyway, this is Spider. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you love what we did today, please remember to subscribe. We'd like to do this more often with you. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you next time.